Hey guys, you're listening to Finding Yourself with Kyle Duffy. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you do, please make sure to check out the rest of my videos up on my YouTube channel and like and subscribe for new content. Similar to my podcast Finding Yourself, on this channel I discuss movie and TV, dive deep into shows and movies I'm passionate about, give detailed reviews and have detailed discussions around movies and TV shows I think you should check out. In today's video I'll be reviewing The Father, starring Anthony Hopkins, Olivia Colman, Imogen Potts, Olivia Williams and Rufus Sewell. The Father was released in 2020. As I mentioned, it stars Anthony Hopkins and Olivia Colman. There are great performances in this movie, and it actually won critical acclaim for its performances. Anthony Hopkins became the oldest Academy Award winner at 83 years old. He won Best Male Leading Actor for his portrayal in The Father as Anthony, a man who was struggling with dementia and struggling to accept help from his daughter, played by Olivia Colman in this movie. I didn't know much about the performances in this movie. I hadn't heard anything much about Anthony Hopkins' performance or Olivia Colman's performance in the movie. What I did hear about was the concept, and that's what got me to sit down and watch The Father. This movie does something very interesting with the way they edit scenes and cut them together in this movie. Throughout the movie, you notice that certain scenes start to replay and certain actors start to replace each other and get mixed up and muddled. This was such an interesting idea from the creators of the movie, because they decided to cut the movie together so that as viewers we could experience what the main character is experiencing. As I mentioned, the main character in this movie is suffering from dementia, fighting an uphill battle to keep his wits about him and make sure he can keep things straight in his mind. There was times watching this movie I had to pause it and just regroup and actually get it straight in my own mind, as if to say, okay, well, that character is now this character, she's playing her, he's playing him, vice versa. And that was such an interesting move and a unique way to present the movie, because many times when we see movies around illness or disease, we focus on the person who is caring for the elderly person who has an illness or disease. You know, I can think of one movie I watched in the recent past, and I think it's called Still Alice. And that focused around a woman who had early onset dementia and Alzheimer's. And it focused around her family dealing with that and taking care of her. And in that movie, Alice was an academic, a lecturer, and a real intelligent person who was suffering from dementia in her 50s and was struggling to come to terms with the fact that she wouldn't be able to articulate things the way she could. But it really focused around her family dealing with it and wrapping their mind around the fact that their mother would soon forget her own name, never mind their names as well. So I think that The Father does something very interesting and kind of flips the script on its head and focuses solely on the main character who is suffering from dementia and gives you everything from his point of view, which is a mind whirl for us as audience members, because there's times where he walks in on a scene and the characters in the room are into a conversation midway. Then he comes in, it plays out, he leaves the room, and they have the conversation all over again, and then he enters the room again. So you don't know whether he's imagining something or whether he's just repeating himself because of the dementia. So I think this movie does a great job of making sure the viewers get the full experience of what dementia could feel like for this main character. Into the performances, Anthony Hopkins blew me away in this. I think everyone has that attachment to Anthony Hopkins and can only see him as one character, and that would be Hannibal Lecter. He did such a good job in that role. He made it his own. And even though we've had reincarnations of Hannibal Lecter, we've had Mads Mikkelsen in the series. We've also had actors play the younger version of Hannibal Lecter in prequels. But I think Hannibal Lecter will always be Anthony Hopkins. His scenes with Jodie Foster in the prison are iconic. So he will be that character for most viewers in their mind. It's Hannibal Lecter. But I have to say, I loved him in this film. He gave an outstanding, heartbreaking performance as Anthony, and you felt every scene he was in, you felt it with him. As I mentioned, because of the way the movie is edited together, you feel like you're going through dementia with him. And it was such a smart move by the directors and the producers in this movie to make sure that you feel what he's feeling in each scene. And there was a part near the end of the movie where I was having revelations around certain characters, and I was thinking, oh my god, how long has he actually been in this room, or how long has he been in this house, and so on and so forth. Overall, the performances in this movie are next to none. Olivia Colman gives a heartbreaking performance as a daughter who is struggling to take care of her father. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know if it's good for her and good for him to have him live with her as long as he's living with her. And she's struggling with that whole choice to either keep him and provide home help, which is not working, or admit him into a facility where they have the capabilities of looking after him. And you can see how that plays on her marriage as well, and how it plays into her husband's view of the situation. Her husband is getting tired of coming home and having the same thing happen every time. Olivia Colman's character Anne, as a daughter, is trying to make sure that she can get home help for her father, but her father keeps on getting into arguments with the home help and they end up quitting. So it literally repeats. It's like a Groundhog Day scenario. Every scene, something gets brought up the same kind of way, and there's a running reoccurrence in this movie where Anthony, as a character, looks down at his hand and he realizes his watch is missing, and he keeps on blaming people for stealing his watch, and that's where the paranoia comes in with his dementia. I think this movie has such an air of realism around how dementia can affect the family, can affect the person with the disease, and how it can just stop you in your tracks as a person looking after someone with dementia or as someone with dementia themselves. So I think the reality of this movie is why Anthony Hopkins won his award for Best Male Lead. I thought the writing and direction in this movie was immense, and it was such, in my opinion, a realistic portrayal of what it's like to look after someone with dementia, and it gave us a look into how it could be living with dementia. Again, it was such an interesting concept, the way they decided to shoot this movie and the perspective they decided to give you as an audience member. This movie has won Academy Awards for both its acting and its writing, and you can see why. If you haven't watched The Father yet, please take this as your sign to do so. Again, it is a very heavy film at times. It is a sad film to watch, but I do think it paints a very realistic picture of what some people, most people, will have to go through and have gone through with caring for someone with dementia or knowing a family member who's gone through this experience. So again, if you haven't watched The Father, please take this as your sign to do so. For my rating, I give it a 5 out of 5. Again, Anthony Hopkins deserved all of the praise he got for this movie. Olivia Colman was excellent. Imogen Potts was great in this movie as well, who plays one of the carers, and Olivia Williams was excellent as well. So again, 5 out of 5 for The Father. If you're wondering where to check this movie out and where to stream it online, I think it's been added to Netflix this week, so make sure to give it a watch up there when you get a chance. If you have seen this movie, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you agree with me on it being a 5-star movie? Did you think it was a bit too boring? Again, love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Before I end today's video, I'm very excited to say that I've invested in new equipment for the podcast. I want to keep on improving the podcast and my YouTube videos. Best way to do that is to invest in the right kind of equipment that's going to last me long term. I am also in the process of renovating my home office into my podcast space because I want to keep on improving the quality of the podcast because I'm very passionate about it. So as always, if you enjoyed today's video, check out the rest of my videos up on my channel, like and subscribe for new content. And if you enjoy movie and TV content like this, please check out my podcast Finding Yourself, available to listen to up on Spotify. This has been Finding Yourself with Kyle Duffy. Thanks for listening.